Everything from now on must be perfect. Not good, not excellent, perfect.
Right away, chef, and then you shut the fuck up! You're a fucking
Perfection. The thing that every great artist strives for in some shape or form. Whether it be a musician trying to keep the perfect tempo, a painter trying to find the perfect colors, a fashion designer trying to create the perfect silhouettes, or a chef trying to create a dish that will etch his name into history. Perfection, or rather the pursuit of artistic perfection, is something that pushes anyone who does anything creative. Sometimes it can push them to insanity, but sometimes it can push them to places they would have otherwise never gone. There are many movies about these types of people, these perfectionists, but few encapsulate the endless pursuit of artistic perfection like Burnt, a cooking movie starring Bradley Cooper, written by Stephen Knight, and directed by Michael Kalasniko. Back when I was in high school, I was bored one night and wanted some form of entertainment. Back then, streaming services weren't really a thing, so if you wanted to watch something, you had to use a flash drive and get movies from another person. Thankfully, I went to a boarding school, so there were plenty of people around. I went to one of my friends and asked him if he had any movies. We scrolled through for a bit, and I didn't find anything. But right when I was about to leave his room, he said, "Do you want to watch a really good movie about cooking and shit?" At first, I was like, hell nah. Why would I want to watch that? But he was super persistent and gave me the file. And that was the first time I watched the movie Burnt. The movie follows Adam, a star-studded chef who is trying to gain his third Michelin star. Adam's background is pretty crazy. He grew up in America with no mother and an abusive father. He worked in fish markets and butcheries all the time as a kid, which was how he fell in love with food. But knowing that he could never become a legendary chef whilst living in America, and having the gigantic ego that he has, young Adam saves up a bunch of money and buys a one-way ticket to Paris at 19 years old. He then lies his way into working in the restaurant of Jean-Luc, a legendary chef at the time. Adam works 20-hour days, 6 days a week, and eventually becomes the head chef at the restaurant. Alongside him are his companions, Reese, Max, and Michelle. Max is Adam's friend, but Michelle and Reese were more like competition. Adam is successful, charismatic, good-looking, and most importantly, a great chef. But at the height of his career, he messes it all up, developing addiction after addiction and gaining one bad habit after the next. Adam gets in deep debt with French drug dealers, and also sleeps with Jean-Luc's daughter. He sabotages Michelle's career and does many more horrible things. Eventually, he flees France and goes back to America. He moves to Louisiana and works at a fish market, shucking oysters for 2.5 years. As a way of punishing himself, he shucks 1 million oysters and keeps track of it in a book. After that, he quits that job and moves to London, which is the start of the actual movie. A couple years after I watched Burnt for the first time, I was looking for work during the holidays to earn some extra cash. My mom got me a job as a runner at a 5-star restaurant. A runner is basically an intern waiter. In my head, I thought, this is going to be easy. All I have to do is stand around, take people's orders, and bring people their food for a few hours, and I get paid. But it was anything but that. See, from the outside looking in, restaurants are these wonderful places with great food, good vibes, and amazing service. But in reality, when you work in one, they are some of the most chaotic, fast-paced, and borderline abusive environments you could work in. See, in order to provide people quality service, you have to go above and beyond, and that's exactly what we did. I worked 12-hour days regularly, and that was on good days. Often I would start a shift at 9 a.m. and end at 1 in the morning. The only reason why those shifts didn't go longer was because it was during lockdown, so there were curfews in place. But when I spoke to the waiters, they told me that they would regularly have shifts that went into the early hours of the morning. See, when you and your friends are out celebrating a birthday or spending money late into the night, someone has to be there to get you another drink or plate you some more food. In the restaurant, we would work 2 shifts per day with a lunch break in between. As a waiter, you had to watch each customer like a hawk in order to know exactly when they need something. So you weren't allowed to sit down or hang out. Since I was a runner, I had to wash dishes and clean as well. In addition, I had to help the waiters by basically doing all the things that they didn't feel like doing each day. The worst part is, you weren't even allowed to eat the leftover food at the 5-star restaurant. So if a customer didn't finish their food, you had to throw it away. Imagine standing for 6 hours straight and constantly moving around, worrying about whether you'll drop something or bump into someone, only for you to have to throw away this delicious food. I was half awake all the time, I was hot from having to stand in the sun, my mind was restless, and I had blisters on my feet from standing around all the time. Oh, and I wore boots to work, which wasn't smart considering how much standing around we had to do. It got to the point where my girlfriend at the time was low-key trying to get me to quit, because all I ever did was go to work. If you've seen the show The Bear, and remember how much Kami talks about how stressful being a chef was, trust me when I tell you, he's not lying.
And I cut myself, and I got garlic and onions and peppers in my fingernails and in my eyes, and my skin was dry and oily at the same time. I had calluses on my fingers from the knives, and my stomach was fucked.
The restaurant was the only job I've had where the waiters work over 12 hours regularly, but it was also the only job I've had where even the waiters pulled up to work in BMWs, and pretty much all of them had cars and made a lot of money. Since it was a 5-star restaurant, the types of people who came through were all rich. I mean, they would charge you $75 for water in this place. One of the waiters even got tipped 10 grand from a customer. 10 grand! What I'm trying to say here is that this pursuit of perfection requires a work ethic that is past the point of hard work. It's pure obsession. But with that obsession comes all the benefits of being the best at what you do. Fame, fortune, and your name etched into history.
Try this.
Good.
Good? Good means nothing.
Burnt showcases this pursuit of perfection and shows how much it drives Adam. When the opening night of Adam's new restaurant goes badly, he trashes his kitchen and almost physically assaults one of his chefs.
Away, chef, and then you shut the fuck up! You're a fucking poison, you know that? You're a fucking infection. Get the fuck out of my restaurant!
This makes him look like a terrible person, and I won't lie, he isn't a good guy. But the reason why he reacted so aggressively is because of how much he cares, how much he wants this thing, and how much it affects him. As Kobe once said, every time the Lakers would fight in practice, it would lead to more championships. The movie shows how Adam would regularly pull all-nighters, try food from different food trucks, restaurants, and even convenience stores, constantly looking for inspiration, constantly evolving, constantly pursuing perfection. I'll end off by talking about my favorite line in the whole movie. After a good few weeks of running the restaurant, Adam gets really good reviews for his food. Critics state that his restaurant is one of the most interesting places to come and eat, which he absolutely hates. When his co-worker laughs at him, he says, "We should be dealing in culinary orgasms."
Eat. I mean, we should be dealing in culinary orgasms. When's the last time you had an orgasm that was interesting?
If you've seen Burnt already, I hope you enjoyed this video. Comment down below what you liked about it. If you haven't seen it yet, I highly recommend you watch it. Subscribe to Donny's TV for new videos about cinema, sci-fi, and fantasy every Sunday.
People eat because they're hungry. I want to make food that makes people stop eating. Now we can keep on cooking and be interesting, but I want people to sit at that table and be sick with longing.